Honorable Mwali, I see it's only me and you, honorable members, who can catch the fattest worm. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, everyone, on a Friday morning.
Good morning, Honorable
Good morning.
Kalega Masimo.
I see that the fattest worm, it's only us who can catch it.
I had the best of the best before you came.
Oh, good morning, good morning. Tate Maubane, morning.
How are you and Mr.
Tate
Mwali?
Mashile.
And how are you doing?
No, I'm
we
good,
have
I'm
to,
good, I'm good, members. I'm good.
we have to be good. It's a big day today.
Yes.
It's Mandela's birthday.
It's a big it's a Mandela's birthday, and it's our try and scrum as the committee. And it's the last meeting there.
Yeah, it's the last meeting before we go to the house.
Next week will be hectic.
Yes.
Next week will be very hectic.
Yeah, it will be very hectic.
Next week, Wednesday, is a
Indeed.
big day.
Wednesday.
It's a day of the try.
Yeah.
In fact, it's 2 days. It's Tuesday and Wednesday.
I'm not too worried about the ESCOM amendment bill. I'm worried about the appropriation bill.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
The ESCOM bill, I'm not too worried about.
The whole world will be looking at us on
Wednesday.
Yeah, we will be the hope of the country.
Exactly so.
Appropriations.
Good morning, honorable members and to all our professional staff. Good morning. Let me just check if I'm audible. Is Honorable Talega Mazibuko, can you hear me? I see
Chair,
Honorable.
Thanks.
Okay, great, fantastic.
Chair, I am present. Say, I'm just on the call. I'm trying to get
Recording in
Honorable
progress.
to join the meeting. I'm here.
That is I'm just wanting to make sure, Mashile, given that this meeting is convened for the exclusive purpose of adopting our report this morning. Good morning, everybody. I just want to make sure, Mashile, that the meeting is correct. So we will, in essence, have to consider all of those factors. But as members are joining in and coming on board, let me welcome honorable members and I want to appreciate that members, we've had multiple meetings this week with a number of processes moving simultaneously. Before we get on to the agenda of the day, I want to give members feedback as I committed to post our meeting with the Speaker of the National Assembly on issues that pertain to how the reports will be processed on Wednesday. The legal opinion has been circulated to all political parties. I had an extensive engagement with National Treasury as part of, or in fact with the Minister of Finance, so that there is a common understanding of issues. And the common understanding is that where the bill itself is adopted in its entirety and must be consistent with the votes in schedules, which means that as we go through the votes in schedules, they have to be adopted in their entirety. So that is our thinking. That is the legal opinion we are working with. It is post our meeting with the Speaker. I think the chief whips of all respective parties have been thoroughly informed about this. And so as a committee, the only thing we can do is, in essence, as our report will be tabled on Wednesday at the National Assembly, it will be debated. A first reading debate will take place. And then once all of that is done, the votes and schedules will be put before members, and then a second reading of the bill will then be put forward. So that is the process as I have it. So that was the one process I needed to give the committee feedback on. I then also engaged we will be having a longer discussion, our conversation with the Department of Social Development. I've committed to, with the Minister of Finance, for us to have that particular discussion along with the last discussion we had yesterday, which was on the border management issue as to how it goes forward in the medium term. And therefore, naturally, that will require us to engage not only the Minister of Finance, but to also engage the Minister of Home Affairs. So I thought it'd be important for members just to get feedback on all those respective engagements that we've been having as we go. Honorable Waitlin, you have a question?
Just a matter of clarity, Chair. I just need to understand, as far as all the submissions that were made after the report was adopted to be adjusted. Let me use an example: the border management, and I can't remember now who else. There was one or two other departments that submitted after. I see none of them have been incorporated in this report. So I just want to get clarity. Are we going to ignore that, or will we just be on record and say that we accepted those to be received, and that is what we will be doing with them, so that that's on record as well? I just want clarity because I don't see it in the report itself. Thanks, you, Chair.
Yes, that was the point I was wanting to raise earlier on today, to say we just need to include a paragraph in the findings that indicate that those engagements have taken place, and therefore post facto that further engagements will be taking place with Border Management Authority and with the Department of Social Development in order to find the adjustment of the appropriate funds. Yeah, I think those need to end. And the Department of Yes, Honorable Spiso, yes, you wanted to respond to that?
Yeah, Jefferson, naturally we will not have to include that, because
if we had adopted the report on Tuesday, as we have gone through the report, what time will we have found to include those? Otherwise, if we are going to work like that going forward, when things are snipped at some point and then I must include them on the report, you are going to complicate my work. Because we will have adopted this report on Tuesday. We have gone through it, had the NCOP adopted the Division of Revenue bill, we will not be having this discussion. So I'm just saying, going forward, if that is how the committee is going to work, you are going to complicate my work.
No, so I don't think you've got my point.
Yes.
This was just a line in the report that acknowledges that we met with people post facto. It's in the concluding remarks that say that point. And then it's not adding new submissions or inputs. It is an acknowledgement of the work that is done so that the committee can engage it further on. It's not to change the material nature of the report, not at all. So I think we must be clear that when the committee has engaged the work, the reason we had to engage them with the urgency before adoption was so that, for precisely the reason that we can highlight the point that we've just made. I don't think it complicates your work at all, and it's not a practice that says to us, we are going, because naturally we'd only be dealing with the report now post the National Council of Provinces. So let me park that point before we discuss it extensively. Honorable Gallagher Mazibuko.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for the feedback and also the way forward you have outlined in terms of how are we going to move forward and the issue of the legal opinion, which was circulated to us. However, I want to check because we also, as a committee, get advised by the Parliamentary Budget Office, which has also circulated an advice in this regard. So I just want to check with you as to, you've already said that we will be going with the legal opinion. Have the two reconciled? Because for me, Chair, I think it's a bit confusing to have two different opinions from the bodies that we normally depend on for the advice. So maybe I think it would have also been prudent through your consultations to also have both our advisors in terms of or in a form of the PPO as well as the legal team to reconcile their advice and discuss it and see which one is best, so that we are not seen as if we are shutting down the other whom we will need maybe in the near future. Just for, I thought maybe let me just raise that so that we have a clarity, because we are sitting with two contending opinions. Thank you.
So, Honorable Gallagher Mazibuko, just to respond to that point, the two opinions were considered at the meeting that we have with the Parliamentary Executive Committee, as I said. The one is legal, the one is the opinion of the PBO, right? The Secretary to Parliament was tasked with the job of engaging both the PBO and the legal services. The net conclusion was that, given that this is a legal process, we have to follow the legal advice we have been given by our legal parliamentary legal counsel, because the PBO is not going to defend this matter in court. If it does end up in court, only the parliamentary legal services are going to do that. So there was a view that said, if you incorporate both views, and there's been engagement, that was the opinion that was circulated to the chief whips and the opinion that began in committee are consistent, and those are the opinion, that is the broader legal opinion that we are sitting with as things stand, as the whole of Parliament. Because even political parties themselves have the freedom to have a considered opinion on this issue. But we as a committee have to be guided, or are guided, and I'm convinced of this, given our engagements with National Treasury, that is the opinion that we are going to go with. So that was, both matters were considered in that light. Honorable Wakelin, is this a legacy hand, or you've got a fresh point?
I've got a fresh point, Chair. Chair, just two matters. The first one, as a way forward with regards how we're dealing with the appropriation report on a matter of timeframes, because I am also quite concerned that we allow submissions after the fact. And I'm sure there's some regulations that will guide us. If we can have clear regulations and be consistent and also not putting ourselves under pressure, because, last night I had to start reading this report at 11 o'clock because I was flying. And I can tell you there's a number of issues that I'm going to raise this morning on this new report, but that will come. So I would like to request that we possibly have a clear guideline on what is the way forward when we do receive post facto submissions. And I'm happy to support every department that is prepared to fight the fight, and we will support where we can. And then the second matter is for Mr. Makagula, please just raise his hands when you want to speak and not speak over us when we're busy speaking. Thank you, Chair.
I note those. I want to also say, honorable members, as per previous agreement, much of the report has been considered. So I would also be careful not to, again, rewrite the report, Honorable Wakelin. Today, we are really going to go towards the conclusive end of the report and move towards an adoption. I think if we have to start to rewrite the report, then that would nullify the meeting we had on Tuesday, which I would be careful not to go that route. I don't believe there's material or substantive matters that are new. It was clarity on the meeting that we had on Tuesday. Those points were incorporated, and I would like us to move on that basis. Otherwise, to the broader point, if we have to rejig the entire report, then I really believe that we are going to then we are going to go backwards and forwards, and I'd be careful not to do that. Honorable Wakelin.
Thank you, Chair. That's exactly the point, and that is the report has been really written on areas where we have already agreed. And that is the point I'm going to raise this morning. And that's the first thing. The second thing is we agreed all in principle that we're not going to rewrite the report. We just going to look some of the adjustments that we agreed on. But when I read the report last night and this morning again to make sure that I didn't double check myself, a lot of the stuff has been rewritten without our consent. And that's the discussion we're going to have this morning. Thank you, Chair.
Let me then move towards opening of the meeting. Mashile, can you put the agenda on this for today's meeting? Today's sole purpose is to consider two matters: the adoption of the appropriations report, and Mashile, we have to table a motion of desirability or on the appropriations bill. I see it has been put on there. Okay, now I can see the report, the considerations, and then the minutes that go from there. So that is then the agenda for this morning. May I move for the adoption of the agenda? May I ask a member? Thank you so much, Honorable Wakelin. And as Honorable Gallagher Mazibuga, I see your hand is up. Are you seconding?
I'm seconding, Chair, raising my hand because we said we must raise hands when we are to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gallagher Mazibuga. Can we then proceed then to the first item on the agenda, which is the motion of desirability? Mashile, can you put the motion of desirability, please? Mashile?
It's coming up now, just now. Yes. Motion of desirability. Motion of desirability appropriation bill B16 of 2025. that in the opinion of the committee, the legislation is desirable to appropriate money for the requirements of the state for the 2025-26 financial year and to provide for matters connected therewith, to prescribe conditions for the spending of funds withdrawn from the 2026-27 financial year before the commencement of the Appropriation Act for the 2026-27 financial year, and to provide for matters incidental thereto. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mashile. Is there a member who would move for the adoption of the motion of desirability to say it is a desire to have an appropriations bill? The member can do so by raising their hand. Honorable Siade, I recognize your hand. Will you speak it into the record, please?
Morning, Chair. I move with the adoption of the motion of desirability.
Thank you very much, Honorable Siade. I note, Honorable Mkondo, you are seconding. I'm assuming you are seconding the motion.
Yes, sir. I see.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mkondo. With that in mind, the motion of desirability being duly adopted, we then move into the draft report that was tabled before members. Members, procedurally speaking, we now move towards the end of the report. We are not going to go through it page by page, given the considerations that had been taken in place. There are a number where there are amendments. Members, if you want to raise, Honorable Wakelin, I'm going to give you a moment now to raise. But I really do believe, members, having considered the report previously, we need to be able to stick to that. Otherwise, perhaps to make the point, what we cannot be doing is also then writing and rewriting and then going forward. The point about the timelines has been thoroughly made, and therefore I want to affirm the fact that this was being part of the discussion in the reworking of the Money Bills and Related Matters Act going into the next budget cycle. The dilemma this time has been having version 1, version 2, version 3 of the budget. That has been part of the challenge. Honorable Wakelin, let me open the floor to you before we move to the end. Yes, Honorable Wakelin.
Thank you, Chair. If I can just take it quickly, there's just two parts. The first one is on page 39. It's just a typo on the second paragraph, the Minister of Health and the Minister of Basic. It's Minister of Basic Education. If you can just change that, there's just a typo that I've picked up that I think we need to fix. Page 39.
Which line? 39.
Andres, it's just a typo. It's just before 8.5. You will see that it says Minister of Finance and Minister of Health and the Minister of Basic. It must just be Basic Education. Do you see it there?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, you can just change that. And then, Chair, if I can take you down to, let me just get you the context. So, Chair, 8.18, 8.18, and that's the matter that relates to the SASSA conditions.
Mm.
We, as a committee, have agreed, and if we compare the original 8.18.1 up to 8.18.7, we did no changes there, and we agreed that those are the submissions, but we did agree, and we said it from the onset, and that has been taken up in the recommendation that beneficiaries will be continued to be paid until such time the reviews are be finalized. We agreed all on that. The principle was agreed on. But I was dumbstruck, Chair. Every single condition had suddenly an overemphasis is on the matter of the committee is strongly of the view the spending efficiency must be found, and the continuation of that, the money must be paid, and every single condition now overemphasized that point. And I don't understand why that was like that. I'll request that every single one of that, and we agreed on those conditions as it was submitted. The only part that we objected on was the matter when we said we are rejecting that part. And that we've changed, and we agreed on the changes in the recommendation. Only to find now that every single point of this has been overemphasized and whole paragraphs written. You can compare to the original report, Chair. I would like to have an explanation. Thank you.
Yes, Fiso, can you comment on that submission by Honorable Wakelin?
Yes, Chairperson, I think commenting is the right way than an explanation. Chairperson, I can tell you now, I don't know what Honorable Wakelin is talking about. But if for an example you wish us to compare those conditions on the report that was on Wednesday, where Mashile was doing the tracking changes, we can do that if we've got time to do that. But I really don't understand, except to say I added the things that I hoped I was getting from you when all of the honorable members were commenting on Tuesday. But to say I've suddenly changed the conditions, I think that's not accurate. We can do that if you have that time to do so. I was like merely doing that. But again, my suggestion would be this, because I think we are also going to have a challenge with this if we are going to do like this. I will suggest, and as I always say when we send this report, if probably I have received written submissions, I could have probably copied this thing and pasted it as it is. But if you say something in the comment,
so just hold on. Before you get to that, I was asking you to respond to perhaps the question of whether there were tracked changes. How the committee works and operates is up to me. So let me, in this particular instance, that was the question that was asking. If you cannot respond to that, let's have a look at it. My reading of the report is that the conditions that were stipulated there were tabled on Tuesday as the committee considered the report. The only point that was adjusted was the adjustment around whether we reject or accept, which was then to clarify that point. That is the only paragraph that we need to be discussing at this point. So, Fiso, can we, Mashile, can we go to just that paragraph and then have that discussion? Otherwise, we are not going to reopen the entire SASSA matter. I see Honorable Bateman's hand is up, and I see Honorable Wakelin's hand is up. Honorable Bateman.
Thanks, Honourable Chair, and good morning to you, and also good morning to all my colleagues. I did do a compare documents function just to see what had changed and what hadn't been changed. So I can confirm what Mr. Magagula is saying, that 8.18 has not changed. So the wording was there. I think we picked up the issue of how the report had changed the weighting and the emphasis of what we had discussed as a committee when we looked at the recommendations. But I think the implication of our conversation was that paragraphs 8.18.1 to 8.18.7 would be looked at again and would be made consistent with the changes that we made to the recommendations. Because otherwise the report feels contradictory, because we make observations under 8.18.1 that are then different in the recommendations section. So I would actually, I've had a look at it, and there are a few small, very minor changes that I would recommend we make. And I'll just give you an example of one of them, just to get your permission, Chair, to entertain this. But if you look at the last sentence, for example, of 8.18.1, it says the committee is strongly of the view that spending efficiencies must be found within the entire social grants administration and payment systems, but the payment of social grants to the most vulnerable must never be undermined or threatened by anyone. Now, I think to capture the emphasis of what we said there, I would say we should say the following. The committee is strongly of the view that spending efficiencies must be found with the entire social grants administration and payment systems, and then include these words as well. And abuse must be eliminated, comma, but the payment of, and then insert the word valid, social grants to the most vulnerable must never be undermined or threatened by anyone. Because I think what we're saying is there is an appropriate place for checks and balances. I think just to give one other example.
Wait, just hold on, Honorable Bateman. You've made one suggestion. I think
I'll just add one other thing. Sorry, Chair, if you don't mind, but under 8.18.2, I just thought insert the word unreasonable. So the way it is expressed there is it said the payment of social grants must never be undermined or threatened by any conditions given the role that, I mean, I would say the committee would like to emphasize the payment of valid social grants must never be undermined or threatened by any unreasonable conditions, because there is also a responsibility on the recipient to meet conditions that are reasonable. And you can't just make it like an absolute blanket statement, because then one can never put any condition in front of any recipient. And that is obviously not what we're intending to say. So that is, I just feel to address this inconsistency, and it's not many changes, just a few light changes. Sorry, Chair, thank you for indulging me.
I think the point about validity is well made. Honorable Wakeling, yes?
Chairperson, Chair.
Mashile, will you put your hand up? I don't see it here. Yes? Yes, Mashile?
Yeah, I just wanted to find out, do we talk about 8.18.2? Where do we make this change, or have we agreed on that change, or are we still deliberating on the change?
We're just deliberating just on this point, and then I want to finish it because I do take the point that Honorable Bateman has made. There's been very minuscule changes, not material in this regard, which was the point that I think is well made. And if we just add the words valid to the point that Honorable Bateman has made, then I think there's consistency in the writing. I'll return to Mashine when we put the textual changes. Yes. Honorable Wakeling.
Yeah, Chair, there's more to that. If you look at point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5, point 6, and point 7, the last paragraph and all of those submissions have been changed. And it keeps on overemphasized the point. The committee would like to emphasize that the payment of social grants must never be undermined or threatened by any condition, given the role that these grants play in livelihood of many South Africans. We agree, but it is overemphasized on every single condition. That was never what we agreed on, Chair. And I want to ask you, Chair, were you aware of these changes before it was given to us?
Let me get to Honorable Gallagher Mazibuko. Honorable Gallagher Mazibuko. Oh, sorry. Honorable Gallagher Mazibuko, before you go, Honorable Mkonto's hand was up. So can I recognize it and then we'll come back to you?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair, honorable members and colleagues. Chair, it might be a matter of English how these points are being presented. But if my memory serves me well, we did do this emphasis during the meeting. Maybe it's a way of how to put them in this report. I don't see anything new from what we agreed upon in our previous meeting. So maybe, Chair, let's discuss the English. How do we put it? But I don't see anything anomalous in this report from what we discussed that day. Or maybe we have to have a topic on observations and recommendations. Then we put them there. But we discussed this to, if you remember very well, Chair, to a point where National Treasury said, but you don't have powers over this. You can't change this, and that's because we really engaged in this matter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhonto. Honorable Kgaleka Mazibuko.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think Honorable Mkhonto has taken some of my words. Maybe it's because some of us, especially me, English is my fourth language. Maybe there's something that I'm missing out here. We agreed. I think it's a matter of phrasing, but I also don't see anything new here. Unless there was a report when Mashile was changing, he would put the words in red. I'm not sure whether we have that draft, but I'm not sure if we want to go that direction, because we have gone through paragraph by paragraph that day. We wasted almost the whole day going through this, and the content is also not changed here, Chair. On 8.18.1, I really don't see anything abnormal. And if we are going to, and I also don't see this all that the member is talking about, because we have agreed that the grants must be paid. However, people must comply. I mean, some of us, we even made examples of the undocumented or illegal people who are receiving the grants, that the system needs to be cleaned. I mean, we all contributed on this regard. And for me, I think I'm fine. Thank you.
Honorable Mwali, and then I'd like to move from this point, because I think the broad sentiment of the committee is what Honorable Bateman has included, which is the question of validity and how we express conditionality. And I think that covers the issue. I really think
Yes.
the points had been covered, broadly speaking, in the other point. But Honorable Mwali, let me take your input, and then we can move from there.
Chairperson, thank you. I want to also mention that just before we finished our meeting last time, I did emphasize that in whatsoever that are the conditions of the National Treasury, they must not be at an expense of the recipients of the grants, of which I think that was the mood or the motion shared amongst the members of the committee, that they must be in a process or in a mission to uproot any form of corruption that is happening around these grants. But we must always protect the recipients, more especially the valid recipients. So the emphasis that Honorable Wakeland is mentioning here, I don't see any problem with them, because it was the sentiment of the majority of the members of the committee that in whatsoever action that is taken or in whatsoever conditions that are put on these grants, they must never be at an expense of the recipients, particularly valid recipients. But all the other ones, they must be uprooted, and all action to uproot them must never be discouraged. So I think then we are comfortable. I would say, as Mkhonto says, we are comfortable with how this report has put them, or the emphasis made on these conditions, more especially on 8.18.1. Thank you.
So I think I'm sufficiently. I think the committee has given full expression to the point. Let me just highlight just this one critical point, which is the point that Honorable Bateman is making about validity of the grant recipients, which I think covers the point that Honorable Kgaleka Mazibuko is making, that there is a point about validity that with the condition that the committee makes is that where there are valid grant recipients, which is the exercise that we are trying to achieve, that ultimately there should be no disruption to the payment of valid grant recipients. I think, Honorable Bateman, you've covered that point. It would seem we're having a slight technical problem. So, Honorable Bateman, may I ask that the input that you have made, if you can capture it and then just WhatsApp it to Mashile so that it can be included in the respective paragraph, then I really believe we can move on that particular point. Is that okay with you, Honorable Bateman?
Chair, I'm absolutely fine with that. I would just say that there is this sort of point of intersection between a valid condition and an invalid condition. So, for example, if the Treasury says this check must be done, and then the department writes to the recipient and says, we need this check to be done, and the recipient ignores that, and then after repeated, after a reasonable period of time, they then say, well, now we have to deem that this condition is not satisfied and that this is not a valid grant, therefore. And then a grant might not be paid. And then there might be suddenly a reaction, somebody might follow it up and what have you. So there is a situation where a valid grant is not paid, but it's not paid because the person's information wasn't correct or they didn't comply with reasonable conditions that were placed in front of them. And so I do think we need to include with something like valid, but also by the something to do with reasonable conditions, because there are rights, but there are also responsibilities, and you can't just say the right will be enforced no matter what, no conditions will ever be applied. So that's where I would just say, so for my I mean, I can make a couple of suggestions, very light changes, but for example, in 8.18.2, I would just insert the word threatened by any, I'd insert the word unreasonable conditions, because given the role that these grants play in the lives, I think it makes the point that we're trying to get across as the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Bateman. So if I can ask you just to put that in text, and then we can move away from this point, because I do think it's been sufficiently ventilated, and it was ventilated on Tuesday. And the broader point is to capture the idea of validity of grant recipients, and then ultimately the reasonableness of conditions. And I think we can just put those words in there to bolster the report. Honorable Nkonto, is there a legacy hand or is there a fresh hand?
It's a fresh hand, sir. I just wanted to say, after a member is given an opportunity to put some context in the report, at the end of the meeting, it must be read to all of us, so that in the future, the member cannot come back and say, but this is not what I said. We must be able to know what exactly is he going to submit to Mashile. Thank you.
Yes, no, it will be put in the report and members will be able to see it. It's just that the reason we are not doing it in live text right now is because Mashile is having technical difficulties. And so we're trying to solve for that as the meeting is continuing. Sfiso, if it is my understanding, you now have sharing rights, have you? Mr. Makakula?
Yes, Chairperson.
Can you flight the report? Because now we need to move post that point that is made. If have you got?
I don't have the sharing rights. Say this. I don't have the sharing rights, Chairperson. Oh, okay. Let me see. Oh, okay. Yes, I do. Now,
If you can put that, and then honourable members, we will make the adjustment on Honourable Bateman's recommendations and point, but then I would urge that we need to get towards the latter part of the report, because that then tables the only points of adjustments that have been made in terms of the adoption of the report. But I really do feel we are not rewriting the report as we are going. So, Mr. Makakula, if you could put towards the end of the report, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, Chairperson, I'm trying to do that. Is it clear, Chairperson?
Yes, it is in front of us. If you could head towards the points at the end.
Okay, let me do that, Chairperson. Just hold the phone. Okay. We were here, Chairperson.
That is correct. Honorable Bateman is going to put on the WhatsApp group just the edit in the text. I think he has done so. If you could literally copy it and then put the emphasis. And then the only other thing to state is that it is where valid grant recipients have received.
Okay, I just want to put just for information. I said so that we can agree. Condition 1, 18.18.1. Just looking at where exactly that paragraph starts. Okay, I can see.
Yeah. So you've got them there. They just speak to the last sentence of the issue. That all work must be done for because the point that we have to make, we are not here to debate the conditions. That's not the debate. The only debate we are putting forward is that where there's validity, where there's valid grant recipients, and that the conditions given have been given, that in fact grant payment must be done. There's a whole legal process that has taken place with whether these conditions are applicable or not. That is a matter that is not for this committee. So let us not get ourselves into terrain that we can't. Okay?
And abuse must be eliminated.
Right.
But okay. Payment of valid social grants to the most vulnerable must never be threatened by anyone through okay. Allowed to and then on the social grant. Okay.
Yeah. Just make sure.
Delete this. Amen. Yes. And then
Yeah, you can't have social twice. If you can just remove that social,
yes.
and then the point about valid, that the valid social grants, is that being captured? Yes, there it is. It's further up. Okay. Now, Honorable Member, can you move towards the end of the report?
Okay. Oh, stop, Jefferson. Do I move now to the?
Yes, we are heading towards the end of the report. If you could, the conditions you can skip. Those are matters of court. We get to the recommendations. Those have been ventilated by the committee. Let's keep going through those.
Yes, I'm here on recommendation number 1, Chairperson, 9.11.
Yes, what I'm saying is we are moving further down. We are not reviewing any of the recommendations. Let's keep going.
Okay.
The only point I wanted to include, which is not substantive to the point, and it can go into that the committee would engage that in it. I think it can go into the conclusion remarks. If you look at the conclusion there, it speaks about the GNU public participation, etc. That given the Money Bills and Related Matters Act, that there is engagement with the Department of Social Development, the Department of Home Affairs on the border management issue, and that further engagements need to be found to be able to, I think that is all, that further engagements need to be had in order to find the appropriate funding for programs with social development, not social development, border management authority, and the considerations on the other committee that we've met, which is digital communications, etc. I think those are the only two conditions. Those were the points that I wanted to make, so that that discussion is not lost. It is put in the report so that there can be an engagement in the medium-term budget policy statement and in next year's budget, which was what we agreed on.
You are too fast for me.
I will send you the text. All I'm saying is that further engagements must be sought with the Border Management Authority and the Department of Social Development to ensure for adequate funding of the respective programs as per the Money Bills and Related Matters Act. That's it. Honorable Wakelin, I recognize your hand while he's typing.
Thanks, Chair. I know that we're busy with the final parts of the document, but I just want to take you just back to 9.1.4. There are just two matters, and the first one is not so critical. We did speak about the CETA, and the way it's been worded here is to say these reviews should be expanded to all government CETAs to assess the efficiency and possible duplication of function. And that was the emphasis originally. And then we agreed that, in actual fact, we're going to draw that line wider to the whole learning cluster. So I don't know if that is, if you want to keep the emphasis on CETAs, I'm fine with that, because that was my original input. But if you suggested that we consider the complete learning model to be redone, so that's a conversation that we had, and that's as far as I remember the conversation was. And then the second part to that paragraph, I can't remember, and I'm standing to be corrected, that we actually said that particular government agencies, international missions, that don't add value to South Africans. I can't think that we've ever had that conversation. So if I can get clarity on that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Wakelin. I'm just looking at the report itself, which is the points that you are making. I'm comfortable with the discussion narrowly on CETAs, because when we then as a committee then go and deal with the learning and culture function as per that in the next report on public hearings, I'm happy that that becomes the emphasis on the review of the broader learning and culture function. But the only point I wanted is, Fiso, have you covered this point so that I can...
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chairman. Please, you said Border Management Authority and the Department of...
It's communications and digital. It's the one, yes, that okay. Particular one with that we engage. Yeah? But the point that Honorable Wakelin is making is on 9.1.4.
9.1.4. So what must I remove there, Chairman?
No, the point was we are happy to leave. I was speaking, sorry, it's either I was saying that the point about sitters, it's fine. Honorable Wakeling, the question that we're putting, you are putting the second point, which is should make recommendations of Parliament on government agencies and international missions that don't add value to South Africans. We can remove the recommendation that government, up until the point about government agencies. We did discuss government agencies. I raised it in committee that there are about 177,000 people that are working in all of these agencies, etc. The issue about missions, Honorable Wakeling, if you will remember, this was a discussion when we had an engagement with the Minister of Finance at the tabling of the budget. Yet we'd raised this question about a review of international missions and how they align to trade issues. And I think that point is trying to give expression to the fact that if you have a mission in Kazakhstan, South Africa funds it, pays for it, and all of that. And I think National Treasury, we did have a discussion with National Treasury on this issue about the nature of international missions who don't necessarily add value. And they've agreed to do a review on this issue. So I do think the point holds, unless you feel, I remember having a direct engagement with the Minister of Finance and with DERCO on this particular matter. So I'm not sure that it is, in either way, it speaks to the really fundamental point, which is when you do reviews, make sure there's value for money rather than having missions for mission's sake.
Chair, can I respond?
Yes, please do, Honorable Wakeling.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm just referencing Monday as the conversation. On Tuesday, the conversation we had. I'll support that. It's not an issue. It's just the point I'm making with you. And that brings me back to the original point I made, is that when we do adjustments in the report, highlight those adjustments so that we can see them. And then we can deliberate on them if necessary. And I think that is the way I would like us to approach with track changes going forward, that we can see the track changes, Chair. Because if I did not read it properly, I would have not picked up on this point, and I realized, but hold on, we might have had a conversation on these matters before, and I agree. But it wasn't a conversation we had on Tuesday, and the adjustments was based on the conversations on Tuesday. That is my concern, Chair.
I hear you and I respect that point. If it is not material in that it is substantive, are you fine if we leave it in the report, or would you want to permanently have it removed? I don't mind either way. Honorable Bateman, I see your hand is up.
That's fine, Chair. We can accept that as is. I'm just making a point. Can we please in future, when we have different versions, that we have track changes so that we can see where the changes are? Thank you, Chair.
Absolutely. I endorse that view. Honorable Bateman?
Yes, thanks, Chair. I just picked up a typo 9.1.9. So we could just scroll down slightly. I don't know if that's been picked up, but we said there at the end of that first line that National Treasury ensures that there's stronger budgetary accountability in the
Thank you. Thanks for the correction in that. Can we move? I really believe, honorable members. Honorable Bateman, you were saying? I recognize your hand.
Thanks very much.
Honorable Bateman. Yeah.
Thanks so much. I just wanted to check, could we, because I was busy writing those changes into the WhatsApp, could we just scroll up and could I just see quickly how the amendments have been processed to 8.18 as discussed?
That is the last.
Check that we picked up the last one.
That is the last point that we are making, and then we are moving ahead. I think we've covered all the points. So, Mashile, Sfiso, if you could just, they are all in the WhatsApp group. If you can just put them there, and then that would be that.
Okay, so we're happy with the 8.18.5 because there was a slight delay before I put that change in there.
Okay.
Do you see the 8.18.5? Yeah.
Yes, Honorable. However, the committee would like to regulate. Okay, it's called that valid.
Valid, yeah. And then the words through the imposition of unreasonable conditions, or by the imposition of unreasonable.
Undermined.
Okay, and it's a given that, yeah, could we just scroll up quickly? Could I just cast my eye over 1, 2, and 3, or should we just take it that if it's the same as the WhatsApp, then it's a given?
I don't know, where do you want us to go? Can you please let us so that I could do it while we're here?
3, yeah, that one, yeah.
Okay, at 3, I see.
Okay, so that also, the WhatsApp, there's a change there. The committee would like to reiterate.
I see. Yeah, I can
Reiterate,
see
not
that.
retaliate.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And the committee would like to reiterate. Okay.
Again, the word valid. And then again, at the end of the sentence, through the imposition of unreasonable conditions. And then the word unreasonable in 8.18.2 needs to be inserted just before conditions. So the last line of 8.18.2.
8.18.2.
Last line?
The last line.
The last line, yeah. The word unreasonable.
Valid.
Yeah, and unreasonable before conditions. And could I just have a look at 8.18.1 as well, please? Last sentence. Yeah, the last sentence.
Of okay. Payment, yes, here is valid. I inserted that valid social grant through unreasonable condition. Okay.
Through, yeah, not impossible conditions, but through the imposition of unreasonable conditions.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Right. With all those amendments being done,
okay.
Yeah. Can we move right to the end, Honorable Mr. Makakula? Let me, in the light of all of those considerations and all the amendments being done, Honorable Members, now put the report in its entirety. Yes?
Sorry, Chairman. We went back there without concluding here. The Department of Communications.
And I can't remember what. Yes, it's the Department of Communication.
And the Border Management Authority.
Yes, and it was with the Department of Communication. I think it's Digital Communications. It was the discussion we had with the SABC and all of that. I can't remember the technical term of the committee's name. It's Digital Communications and something else.
No, yes. Department of Communication and Digital
Technologies.
Oh, okay.
Digital technology.
We need the honorable members from Limpopo to help us, because us from Gauteng, we are not even.
We are the ones who
and then Chairperson,
sorry. Yes.
Here. We are going to engage on their budgetary requirements. What are you
Correct.
saying?
On budgetary requirements, yeah.
And
Honorable Lekhanya, you were saying?
If border can also be, the spelling there could be corrected. BORDER.
Yes.
And I think, Magagula, if you maybe after the report has been done with, if you go back to the last point that the last paragraph you were dealing with, Honorable Bateman, on the imposition of unreasonable conditions. I think it's 18.1, 18.1.1 or 0.2. I saw there you did not insert the word unreasonable. Yeah, you see the imposition of unreasonable. Yeah, thank you. We're kicking the can on the road.
Okay, so sorry, Chairperson, can I correct one thing again? There was a suggestion because I picked up when Mashile was on the report. There was a suggestion earlier by Honorable Bateman, I think, on the issue of Minister of Basic Education. I just want to make sure so that when we adopt this, I don't want to touch it, Chairperson, and then you cry.
Yeah, no. What I will urge you to do is, naturally, before these things are ATC'd, spelling checks must run through all of these so that there are no basic spelling mistakes. I mean, really, that would be ridiculous. You can't spell a thing. Yeah. Buzzing.
Okay, Chairperson, let me go. It's fine.
Okay. Can I get then to the end of the report? Can I, honorable members, given all the considerations, and really do appreciate members' inputs and submissions and all of that, then move for the adoption of the report? Honorable Bateman, your hand is up.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry if this is painful, but we did have a conversation on Monday about this letter written to the committee from the Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technology, invoking its right in terms of Section 10.5, which is 0.8.17. And it was something that was included in the report that we hadn't actually discussed. And I think there was some background that maybe we were missing. Is anyone able to kind of comment on this, or?
I think, Honorable Bateman, that last bullet point obviously speaks to the issue of further engagement and communications. And given that we met with the committee, I'm trying to give clarity to the fact that is it not sufficiently dealt with that there'll be further engagement with the department, or you want that particular section to be amended?
Well, I raised the point, and then I said, I know we are going to be meeting with them, but then you said this is something different. This is not the same.
Can I have a look at this respective paragraph you are raising it on?
Yeah, 8.17.
Okay. No, this was on the basis of the communication that sent to us, and where Makakula, can you make a point on this issue? I do remember us having this discussion. Sorry, I've been having so many multiple discussions that this is, yes?
Chairperson, this was basically, as we were saying, on the basis of the letter that we received. And Honorable Bateman, we received this letter before we considered the report on Tuesday. So, but because of the timelines and their failure to follow the money bills, because if you want to amend the budget and or even if you want, but they were saying generally they want to amend the budget for the whole vote, which means they set conditions for the whole vote, which is not allowed in terms of the Money Bills Act. So basically, we were noting their submission, if I can say.
Yes.
We are noting because they submitted the report.
Yeah, this was on the basis of the letter that they sent to us. And what I would ask procedurally, Makakula, if the letter can be sent to all the committee members as it was sent to us, but it was really the broad principle that they hadn't followed the Money Bills and Related Matters Act. And I think the last concluding remark does speak to the point about saying that there'll be further engagement with them post that. Now I can recall these particular two discussions. If what we need to do is just circulate the letter that they sent to us to the members of the committee. Would that be sufficient with you, Honorable Payton?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be reasonable of us to expect that if we include this in the report, that we are also familiar.
Yeah, no. Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll circulate the letter. Mashile, if you could do that to members of the committee. I then go back, honorable members, if I can request, let's get to the end of the report again. May I, given all of that, put the report to members of the committee and move, if there's a member, given all the considerations, if we can move for the adoption of the report. Honorable Kanyana, I see your hand is up.
No, Chair, I support the move to adopt the report.
Thank you, Honorable Kanyana. Is there a member who will second the adoption of the report? Honorable Wakelin, I see your hand is up.
Chair, please allow me just a minute. We support this report now. And Chair, I'm going to emphasize the point like you like to emphasize it in your reports. And the point I'm going to emphasize, Chair, please do not make changes in reports, or your officials make changes in reports and we don't see the track changes. I request that we on record in a minute, going forward, that if we have a version 2 and a version 3, let's see the track changes, then we will not have this debate that was unnecessary. That's my first request. The second request I'm having, Chair, can we request that going forward, that we have some guidelines around submissions that are done post-reports, because at the end of the day, Chair, you are the one and us as representing our different parties that has to defend this report, not the officials. And I want to make that very clear. We have to defend this report. The NC, ourselves, the MK, EFF, and whoever is there has to defend this report with you and not the officials. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Wakelin, the point is duly noted. And what I will ask is that, in essence, it will go into the minutes that will be captured of today's meeting, so that procedurally in the next meeting, as you can appreciate, this has been an extraordinary circumstance that we've gone through. Never in the history of at least even in my time in Parliament, have we ever had to go backwards and forwards on versions of budgets as we have. Honorable Member, so that we're not having multiple discussion, I put the motion. Honorable Kanyane had supported it. Is there a seconder to the motion? Honorable Mwali, is Honorable Wakelin, your hand is up? Oh, I see.
Yes, I said I do second the motion, Chair.
Oh, okay. With that in mind, honorable members, the report being duly adopted. Honorable Mwali, now you are recognized.
Chair, I wanted you to note the objection of MK Party before you say it's duly adopted.
I note that point. We can note the objection of the MK Party. That procedurally we've gone about it the right way around. You can't note an objection before it has been adopted. What are you objecting to? You're objecting to the report, which is noted. I'm just procedurally clarifying that. Siyabonga, Honorable Mwali. Honorable members, that then dispenses of the business of the adoption of the report. The report is duly adopted. May we then move quickly with speed to then the minutes of the meeting. Mashile, Mr. Matakula, your hand is up, yeah?
No. It's not, Chairperson, sorry.
Okay. Can you put it down on your device, whatever you do? Unless you are, Machine, can you put the minutes of the meeting if you are back in the meeting? Honorable members, I see we have lost Mashile, and I don't want for the minutes to be put forward without them being put on the screen itself. Mashile has lost network, therefore, may I then, in the light of all of that, it will, Mashile, I see you are here. Yes?
Yeah, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair. I'm still out with my computer. I'm using a very small phone, so I cannot fly the minutes at the moment. That's the challenge I have at the moment. My computer is updating, so I'm locked out technically, and the phone cannot allow me to fly the minutes at the moment.
In that particular process, Mashile, it will make it literally impossible to be able to adopt these particular minutes. So I will then ask honorable members and beg your indulgence, Mashile, we need to make sure technically we are fine for this process. We are going to have to, as a committee, adopt these meetings at the next meeting, which I'm not sure when that will be. So we have to consider when we could be able to adopt these minutes or hold them off. In the meantime, I would have wanted to get them done today so that all of these items are done and completed.
Chair?
Yes, Mashile?
Yeah, there are two options that we can have. We still have next week, Tuesday, we can just use for the special occasion for adopting the minutes, or the next meeting that when we do, because this is our last meeting anyway, the second term, or we use Tuesday because it's still open just to adopt the minutes.
The minutes have been circulated to all the respective members. It would have been prudent for us to do them today. What I will do is let us then deal procedurally with it. If we need, we may have to convene a quick virtual meeting to be able to consider those. But I don't want to leave them to the next term. I don't want these minutes to sit up until the next term. So, honorable members, in the light of that, I must truly apologize to members that there's this technical issue. Mashile, let us make sure we are technically, even if we need a backup plan for who can flight the minutes, it would be procedurally wrong for us to adopt minutes that members cannot see in front of them. Honestly, I think we need to have a backup plan in this regard. Honorable members, I will defer the...
Mashile must not go to Limpopo if we are going to have virtual meetings. You must stay in Cape Town, Mashile.
No, I'm in Cape Town.
Honorable Galega Mazibugu, you have in that moment seemed to suggest that Cape Town has better internet than Limpopo. I would be careful to not enter into the politics of the GNU in this regard, in this just unique matter. Honorable members, we will defer then the minutes to the next meeting. May I then, with your indulgence, thank you, members, even for the hard work you've done in this particular term. I know it's been harrowing, to say the least, but I'm duly appreciative of what members have put in. We will then convene at the debate on Tuesday. The ESCOM, thank you, Honorable Galega Mazibugo, for demonstrating the ESCOM debt relief bill is being considered on Tuesday in the National Assembly. And then the appropriations bill will be voted on Wednesday. With that in mind, let me thank honorable members for your time. That meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, colleagues.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Good luck, committee.
Thank you. Let's see.